Hello, future toppers. Welcome to a streak initiative of Civils Daily to ensure consistency in your day to day preparation. My name is Santosh Gupta, and I will take the most probable questions and topics for Prelims 2021 for the economics. And if you have not joined the streak initiative yet, go to the description and join it. And do join the Telegram group to get questions for the video along with the summary of PRS, Rajya Sabha TV, along with PIB. So let's start the question. First question is on the balance related to the balance of payment. That which of the following statement regarding imported inflation is are correct? So first, when there is general price level rise in a country because of the rise of prices in imported commodity, it is known as imported inflation. So this is logical. When you are importing a costly commodity, price level in the country will be higher. And also when you are an import dependent country such as crude oil, and price of the crude oil if increases, so because the crude oil is a basic ingredient in all the transport and many of the production systems, traveling and everything, so there will be a inflated price in all those activities that depend upon the crude oil. So when there is a price level rise in the crude oil, for example, there will be rise in the price level of or other activities or products which depend upon the crude oil. Weakening of domestic currency might lead to imported inflation in the country. So see, we already understand this concept. When your currency, domestic currency level is low, it will help you in the export because your export will be cheaper. But when it is, but it will make your import costlier. And opposite happens when your domestic currency is higher level. So when you are an import dependent country, you may not allow the currency to go so much weak. So here you can also see this example from the crude oil. We have seen from 2018 later on to 2019 your imported inflation increased because we had the falling rupee and along with the Brent crude oil prices were increasing. So you had the price level, general price level, that is imported inflation increasing. So in this case, both of your answer will be true. Price level will rise also, and weakening of currency will also lead to more imported inflation. So moving on to the second question, again on the BOP, which of the following are the part of the current account of the balance of payment? Balance of trade, that is the import and exports of the goods. There will be balance of services and remittances. So whatever services you are importing and exporting, and remittances, foreigners working in India or Indians working in foreign countries, though they send money to back to their family, so balance of that also. So first and two supposed to be in the current account of the balance of payment because their horizon is less, but investment and borrowing, that goes for more than 1 year, so their horizon is more, so that is kept actually under the capital account. So 1 and 2 will be under your current account and 3 will be in your capital account. So here your answer will be 1 and 2, but let's understand the division of balance of payment. Current account, you have visible, that is the export and import of the commodities, that is crude oil, cars, mobiles, computers. We import lots of crude oil and Apple iPhones and other electronic gadgets, but we also export many of the agriculture commodity and engineering goods. Then services, we have good position in the services, where you also import certain services like all the suppose advertisement services in Google and Facebook. Those companies are based in the foreign soil, and also you provide services. We have BPO and other services that you provide. Then transfer of income and payment, you have investment in foreign companies there, so you will get income, profit from there, or transfer, that is remittance and donation. So balance of visible and invisible come under the current account, and that it keeps varying in India. Sometimes depending upon the situation, upon the trade, we know that we have negative trade balance, that is we import more than export, but that is compensated by often by the services and transfer payment. So sometimes your current account will be either positive or negative also. but it is later on balanced by the transfer of the capital payment, that capital account, that is investment, FDI and FI. We know that we have more FDI and FFI. Then you have loan, government is borrowing from foreign banks, World Bank, e-commercial borrowing that happens through the multilateral banks or foreign government, then NRI deposits in India. So all the capital accounts will be then again be balanced by the current account. So you can see also sometimes current account goes positive, sometimes negative. You also have the current account going April to June 19, it is in current account positive, but in goods we have negative balance. Then in services we also have positive. So this positive in the balance of payment situation will lead to a creation of forex reserve, and that every country tries to have a positive balance of payment. But if you have a negative balance of payment, so you have the net drawdown of the foreign reserve, and there may lead to a crisis. This exactly happened in 1989 when government did not have the enough money to pay for the imports. So we had to borrow from the IMF and World Bank to balance the balance of payment crisis, and eventually we had to go through all the structural reforms in our economy, opening the economy to the foreign companies, MNC, to help as with the balance of payment. Now India have more than around 400 or billions foreign dollars of foreign exchange, so that we have in a comfortable position, all due to the positive in the capital account and somewhat in the services sector. So that is all here. So your answer here will be 1 and 2, and 3 will be not true because investment and borrowing is a part of capital account. So next question is on the WTO. Consider the following statement about the most favored nation in context of the international trade. It denotes the equality of one country towards another nation in this. So MFN is somewhat misleading name, because it probably will say you that okay, I am favoring this country, because the favoring word is there. But see, in the context of international trade, generally you try to every country tries to distinguish between one to another, someone your enemy, someone is your friend. So that kind of situation exists. So WTO brought a concept called most favored. So everybody will be your most favored until and unless you make an exception. So if you want to reduce a tariff on suppose solar cell, so it will be reduced to all the countries of WTO who are the signatory to GATT and WTO. But there is also provisions where you can make an exception to this. So read the statement 2. WTO members cannot violate the MFN clause in any condition. That is not true. WTO gives certain flexibility in case of if any country want to withdraw the MFN clause or hold the MFN clause, or they are not very friendly. See, Pakistan has not given us MFN status till now, or India also withdraw the MFN clause post Pulwama attack. So here your option only 1 will be true and 2 will not be true. But let's understand how. MFN was given by India to Pakistan in 1996 itself, but Pakistan never gave it back, because in somewhere in Pakistan, all those religious leaders, they think most favored nation status means the सबसे प्यारा मुल्क, एंड इंडिया कैसे सबसे प्यारा मुल्क हो सकता है, तो इसलिए उन्होंने कभी दिया ही नहीं. बट इंडिया ने भी एज ए काउंटर उनको वापस ले लिया. सो सम फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी डू एग्जिस्ट विद इन द WTO to withdraw or impose give MFN clause. And when you what happens when you do not have the MFN clause? It means that you can discriminate between two of your neighbors or two of your foreign trade partners, such as Pakistan or Bangladesh. You will give more access, more reduced tariff, or more access to your your favorite country, but not to other country. But MFN also have flexibility that you will give liberalized access to LDC, least developing countries, or in case of America under GSP, generalized system of preferences, they give preferential access to the goods of the certain low income countries. Earlier it included India also, but it has now been excluded. But Africa and South American countries continue to get those benefits. So that help them to get more access to the market, and export their commodity. So MFN basically provides a level playing field between developed and developing, and even LDC get better access. So there is a less distortion in the trade that actually happened during the initial phase of industrial revolution. So that brings a check up on it. So next question is on taxation. Which of the following statement given below are correct? India's tax system is progressive with heavy dependence on direct tax. Direct tax to GDP ratio remains constantly higher than the indirect tax to GDP. So first statement, we know what is mean by, understand here what is mean by progressive taxation and regressive tax. When you try to taxing a indirect, suppose importing a indirect tax, so it affects all. Indirect taxes are irrespective of your income, because those who are paying and those who are bearing the tax are not the same. So tax are distinguished by this way, whether you are bearing the tax or whether you are paying the tax. So that is a direct tax. So I am earning income and I will pay the tax. So it is a direct tax. But suppose a shop owner collects a tax from the public by selling the goods and deposit to the government under GST. So that is a bearer is the public and depositor is the shop owner. So that bearing and payment is not done by the same person. So that is indirect. And indirect taxes are irrespective of your income. So that tends to be like a regressive system. So suppose earner of daily wages 500 also paying the same tax of buying a bottle of butter or something, some goods. But suppose someone is earning 1 lakh per month, also paying the same amount. But that does not happen in the direct tax. You have like up to 5 lakhs of people have exempted, or they pay 12,500. Then 5 to 7 you have 20%. Then after 7 to 10 they have 30%. So it is a progressive in nature. More earner will be paying more amount of tax. So here both of statement will not be true here, because our system is heavily dependent upon the indirect taxes, and though it balance is reducing, and also the indirect tax to GDP remains higher than the direct to tax. You can say here also direct taxes you have 47%, it is less, and indirect taxes it is going on more. Moving on to the last question. Consider the following statement about the minimum alternate tax. It is aimed to facilitate the taxation of zero tax companies, that is those companies which show zero or negligible income to avoid taxes. So what happens is that there are many corporate houses which will show their profit, profit as per their profit and loss account, and they will also give dividend to their shareholders. But when it comes to income tax, that is corporate tax, under the income tax, they will show negligible or zero profit. Okay, we are not earning profit, so I will not pay any income tax. But when you go to their PL account, they will say, okay, I have earned this much of profit. So that is the problem. So what happens, the government brought a minimum alternate tax and tax within the income tax act itself. That is, you have to pay 18.5% of tax whether you are showing taxable income in income tax or not. So you will pay tax of 18.5% on the book profit, that is as per your PL account, and it is called on the book profit. So this will also true. So those zero tax companies will have to pay minimum alternate tax. That's why it is called alternate, that you will be paying on your book profit, not per the profit shown as per income tax. So both of a statement will be true. But what is the impact here? Impact is the government will earn more money, because there will multiple multinational corporations who are showing income but making billions of profits. They will be taxed by 18, though slightly less than the normal corporate tax. Discourage overseas investors. Those who are जो लालच में कि हमारा इनकम टैक्स कम हो पड़ेगा यहाँ पे, वो इन्वेस्ट करते हैं इंडिया में, दे विल नॉट कम, वो कहीं और जाएंगे जहाँ पे इनकम टैक्स नहीं है। मीडियम साइज कंपनी पे नहीं लाए, जो मीडियम साइज कंपनी है, जो देयर विल बी अ सिचुएशन जहाँ पे वो इनकम टैक्स अगर अर्न कर बचा लेते हैं तो उसको इन्वेस्ट करते हैं, तो वो भी अफेक्ट होगा। एंड नाउ मैट जो है वो EOU एंड सेज आर अर्लियर एग्जेम्प्टेड फॉर सर्टेन ईयर्स to not to pay income tax, but they haven't also been imposed now in MAT. So even you have zero profit as per income tax, you will pay 18.5% of tax on the book profit. And but see, income tax also give you certain exemption upon the to the companies, but that does not happen in the MAT regime. MAT regime you have to have pay 18.5% of the tax. But now the income tax now has, since corporate tax itself have been reduced to 22% and MAT is around 18.5%, so will be a situation where under MAT you are paying more tax than actually would have been paying under the income tax. So now government has a system where you will get a MAT credit or a MAT tax minus the tax assessed tax under the income tax act. So that if you have paid more under the MAT regime, you will be actually be getting that much of credit, and next year it will be adjusted from your liability. So that system has brought in, and now uniformly we are moving towards a system where everybody pays the income tax, whether you are showing profit or not. So the here answer will be both 1 and 2. Thank you all of you for watching today's video. If you want the questions, you must join the Telegram group and also join the Streak initiative. And if you want to join talk to a mentor, if you are facing any problem, please fill the summary form, where you definitely will get a call from your mentor and help you in your preparation.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update from Civils Daily.